Everybody to Broadcast Team Alpha, where we bring you cutting edge conversation while exploring the quantum possibilities. And we have one of our most favorite people on the planet tonight, and Augie's going to tell you about him. And before we get started, I just wanted to share some really cool news with you. We be on the lookout for like the first week in October. We're going to have a new online community, an online community, a membership community where the forum is more intimate. You get to interact with us, speak back and forth,
Nori, are
question
you
and
echoing
answer.
or is it me?
Oh,
Do you hear
Yeah,
that in the background?
no,
no,
no.
I hear nothing in the background, so
So we'll be have a more
mm,
intimate setting where you guys can ask questions, we can talk about things, we can expand ideas, um, and it's a place where the video content
Oh.
is going to be exclusive for the people, for our friends who are in our exclusive community. So be on the lookout for that. Mac, our amazing producer, is working behind the scenes to get that going, and it should be available for you to join like the first week of October. So be on the lookout for that. Augie, let's talk about Dan.
yes,
Let's
Oh.
talk about
I'm sorry, it
Dan.
yes.
was my bad on the
It's
echo.
okay.
I
That's
had
okay. No,
the I had
appreciate
the
that.
other video going.
Oh,
Okay.
that's all right. Well,
Appreciate that.
yeah, this is going to be good, folks, because we have Dan Willis with us again here on Broadcast Team Alpha. And what are we going to talk about tonight? Look at his background. Behind him, you have crystals.
Mhm.
And this is the major subject we're going to talk about. But first, I want to say a few things about Dan. And I'm sure that most of you listening right now, you have seen him before because he's been here, I don't know, 4 or 5 times. And Dan is an incredible researcher and a good friend. And he has been on both sides of the veil when it comes to classified information, government and corporate information. And in fact, he was also on the Disclosure Project's top secret military witness list that testified at the National Press Club in Washington, D.C. in 2001. And he was in front of the major media. They were actually from other countries. They were not just American media. So this was well covered. And this particular meeting that told about the UFO presence, the extraterrestrial presence. And he's also been a radio broadcast engineer and an ABC newsman, so he is well familiar with fake news. and and he also spent years traveling around the world investigating and proving free energy is real. He talked to scientists. He observed and worked with inventors that had devices and energy supply machinery that actually worked by producing its own energy. So yes, this is alive, and I hope there is time enough for us to talk a little bit about that too, because he had a phenomenal story. He told us here before we got on the air, and yeah, we got to talk about that, Dan. So we got to do, and but we want to talk about crystals because there are crystals is very often misunderstood a little bit. Most people they think about, yeah, it's a nice, cute little rock, and it's nice. I got one on my desk, and it looks nice, but there is more to it. Crystals, they absorb energy, voice, electronic messages, and it could, in fact, be used as a computer chip. It was done. IBM had, I think I read about that about 15 years ago. They had developed a computer chip that was just a crystal. They fed the information into it and they retrieved it after it was organized in the crystal. So crystals can do a lot of things, and boy, oh boy, do Dan have some stories about that. So welcome to the show, Dan.
Welcome,
Oh,
Dan.
great to be with you, Aki Nori.
So
This
good
is
to have you.
a fun topic. I seem to be talking a lot about it lately,
Yeah,
with my experience with an Earth scientist and a off-planet scientist lately,
yeah,
getting more insights onto what exactly crystals are and what does it have to do with uh, consciousness and the matrix of
yes,
reality,
yes.
and how these things were used in the ancient past, and how civilizations that are far in advance are using these crystals with their capacities that are exceed what we understand that they can do. It was a Stanford Research Institute that you may have referred to, that was able to put the Mona Lisa image into a crystal and then retrieve it. That was
Wow,
about done many years ago.
wow.
Um,
Yeah.
Dan, before we get started, I was wondering if we could just lay a little bit of groundwork for the people, just the language. When you say the matrix of reality, what do you mean by that? Help us to understand that.
well, the matrix that we are in is oscillating. There is nothing that's solid. Everything is oscillating, and it's built on a fractal tetrahedral core geometry in which all things are created from. And the quartz crystals are it's the purest element in the universe that this geometry of the matrix is exemplified in, and it acts as a interdimensional bridge, as does water, and love actually is a
Yes.
more complex holographic formula that interrelates with both the quartz crystals and water, and is all based on the same core fractal geometry. And so that's why at the source that all emanates from is directly connected to these elements.
Beautiful.
I
Beautiful.
think
What a
the question of what is the matrix of reality? That question ranks right up there with what's the meaning of life. It is it is the absolute basic of everything, isn't it? Kind of. And
Yeah,
crystals,
actually, when you think about it, and you hear of many of these secret space program witnesses that have witnessed the what they call replicators, that out of the matrix of space they can create anything. I mean, anything,
yeah,
can form it into physical manifestation. With
yeah,
the consciousness of masters, you hear the masters of the Far East, being able to visualize an apple, and the apple materializes in his hand. He does that through consciousness, but they have uh, figured out the technologies of how to do this as well.
I think it was Nikola Tesla, I think, that said that the crystals, they meet all the criteria of having consciousness.
Yeah, let's see. The quote by Tesla was that crystals are. Oh, down here.
I think it was him, but I know also that Albert Einstein talked about crystal in a very conscious way.
Yeah, he said that Chris was trying to find the exact quote, but crystals are like living beings, he
mhm,
said.
Mm.
mhm.
With other words, life. And that, when he said living beings, that means that it is even beyond consciousness.
Well,
Because now we have androids now that is walking around saying they are conscious, but I don't think we can call them life. So life is beyond consciousness, wouldn't you say?
yeah, I think Tesla's statement could be misconstrued. I believe probably more accurately, according to Jenhan Eredyan, who's a scientist that's going to a university in the Pleiades that I've been connecting with on communication with Elena Danan. He says that they're connected directly to source. And so when you connect directly to source, you're connected to the core of the matrix. And the matrix, it has multiple densities to it, multiple dimensions as well. And so the crystals are, yeah, like on some of the spacecraft, they're you think to be all shiny silver walls, but they actually look kind of organic with crystals on it, because the crystals are physical on multiple densities at the same time, because they act as natural bridges between these various densities.
That's awesome. And they amplify things also, yes?
Yes, yes. Dr. Marcel Vogel, who I was inspired to work with when I traveled up. I was telling Augie the story that I traveled up in the middle of a storm and knocked on his door for the first time and sat down on a couch with this doctor and played classical music in the dark for a while. And then a woman with a daughter came by with here. She heard he was working with 24 medical doctors, and the daughter had a tumor that was protruding about a ½ inch off of her ankle, and he used the procedure of using the breath with the crystal. And in front of the doctor and I, we witnessed the tumor completely dematerialize and go out of the 3D reality, and that left a lasting impression on me. So from that point on, I did a lot of work with him into the research of consciousness interfacing with quartz crystals.
What did you say in the beginning of when you were explaining that? Did you say graph? Graph? Did I graft? No.
No.
I may be making things up. That's okay. So how did that work? Can you like paint us a picture of what that looked like that night?
Oh, the healing procedure that he used?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that gets a little involved, but we can do that. What he started just a little quick background on it. He gave a course for creativity on engineers. It had to do with he tried this plant experiment, and the plant when he burned it, it squiggled on the script chart recorder, and then he thought about it and it squiggled. The moment he said that squiggle changed his life. Then he was doing a lecture and somebody gave him a crystal, and he saw this woo-woo stuff. But then a colleague at IBM had a back problem, and he was working with the plant. He could connect to the plant all the way on the other side of the planet in Prague, Czechoslovakia, and cause it to squiggle by psychically tuning into the plant. And so he was working with pranayama yoga and breathing, and he found that when he pulsed his breath through his nostrils, that he got a much greater response on the script chart recorder, which was interesting because Jenhan confirmed that when we pulse our breath, like you blow your nose, there's a energy of mind that is more of an impact on it. So anyway, he was able to heal the person with a back injury, and he tried to get an idea of how to make this more of of a cohering tool to the energies of mind. And he started out with like a four-sided crystal like this. This one
That's
he
so beautiful.
cut as a gift for me, and then they started cutting more sides. This is like
Beautiful.
an eight-sided,
Mm,
and going on up to even 16
wow.
sides.
So
And so
beautiful.
what it does is it acts like a laser, where you have in a laser you have two mirrors. One mirror is 100% reflective, the other one's 99% reflective. And the energy, because it's in phase and it coheres and it builds upon itself, it gets stronger and stronger and stronger. And so that 1% strong enough to cut through steel. That's how the power of coherent energy, coherent
Mm,
light can do. And so the power, Marcel always used to say, these energies that we're working with are akin to what we know in normal physics. And so the procedure that he found was that basically the person heals themselves, but you act
yes.
as a facilitator to have them heal. And the way the matrix works is when you put forth a question, an answer will come. Like, say, here's what you do. You first build up the energy in the person. You do it through breathing and build up somewhat of an energetic charge. The breath causes the electrical energy in your body to increase.
Mm,
And so what he did was heal using the left hand as a receptor and the right hand holding the crystal. Go in normally into the thymus area, which connects to the energetic system of the body, and
yes.
rotate the crystal. You come in counterclockwise, and then you slowly rotate clockwise like a radio tuning dial,
Wow.
because everyone has a unique frequency and your frequency of your DNA. And he called it the critical rotational angle. And when you hit that angle, you can feel it. And
Wow.
this is one of those things
Yes.
that the more you do it, the better you get at it, because you develop
Yes.
a sense for it. And so once you connect into that, and then you have the person's going to be uh, totally involved in this whole process. You have the person go in and with their mind's eye, and usually if something's hurting you, it's giving you a pain signal. So it makes it really easy to find out where it is.
Yes.
And so you basically ask to be show me the root cause of this. Show me where the origin, the show me the exact core or where this problem is, you know, and wait for the information to be shown. And it can come as a in different forms. It can come as a geometric pattern or color or emotion or whatever it is, that whatever comes to you to help your mind lock onto it in order to release it. And
Yes.
so what you would do at that point is you'd have the person inhale and breathe, and you breathe in sync with them, so you can become one with them. You breathe
Mm,
together. And so as you inhale and exhale, you go kind of like you inhale and then you hold it for just a second or two, and then you exhale, and then you inhale. And then there's at the release breath is that when you go in and then you lock your mind onto it, lock your mind onto where that core is. You have that person do that, and you're tuning into, and you're also uh putting energy
yes.
into their body, into the energy.
Yes.
And then you say, and it's this dramatic thing, you okay, release, it's like with emotion,
Yes.
and and both you and the person, like that. And I've seen amazing transformational things, like
Wow.
things dematerialize, things turn One lady was like turned red and started sweating profusely, and um, it it basically is like an etheric scalpel, because our body originates from a higher dimensional source that
Yes.
forms our physical body. And so the crystal, acting as a bridge, goes in, and basically that reality that we have is not formed from the lower to the higher, but rather formed from the higher to the lower. So when you change the higher blueprint,
Mm.
just like the tumor that we witnessed with a girl on her ankle, it pulls
Yes.
the rug out of that reality, and that reality no longer exists. um, and just amazing
That is
immediate
amazing.
transformations I've seen occur. The 24 doctors that he was working with had amazing, one guy had his sight restored, um, different things, that the AMA would not approve of.
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. So there's a question in the chat room if you would like to.
Sure,
Marius
yeah, I love
asks,
questions.
yeah, can crystals be useful in dimensional shifting and timeline placement?
Can they be used for what again?
Dimensional shifting and timeline placement.
Dimensional.
Yeah, like jumping dimensions, I think. Shifting dimensions.
Not with the technology that we have. Maybe, some of the advanced. They already use them as interdimensional bridges, where they're physically manifested on multiple densities at the same time, because the structure of the matrix is such that that structure exists on multiple densities
Mm.
simultaneously, and so that's why they act as a dimensional bridge. But
Mhm.
I mean, as far as a person, a physical type of thing.
Yeah, yeah. I think Mars would have to clarify that for us, um,
I think
but
there
thank
may
you. That was good.
I think
Hmm.
there may be something to possibility about interdimensional shifting, because I think both of you know that I have this time travel device, and inside the black box, I haven't seen it, I haven't opened it up. He explained, the guy built it, he explained there's two crystals facing each other, and between the two of them there is an electric coil. And he explained a little more about that, but gets involved. But he uses crystals to amplify your mind going through the device and facilitate the shift in time. So there is something there that I think have to do with crystals, that it possibly could work, because I've had some strange experiences with it. And I think that could, and especially people, our brothers and sisters in space, they are using this technology. And some of
Hmm.
those crystals are, I mean, they're meters long, and then they are using them for propulsion devices too. So crystals,
Hmm.
I think, could be used for an awful lot of things, maybe even including shifting timelines, which could be just next to us. Maybe just one slight change of frequency could bring us into a different timeline.
Hmm.
Well, I believe they temporally, through time, they can store um, energy, and I believe they are, many of the secret space program witnesses that have been on med beds and things, they see crystals
Yeah.
in them, and they have like water or some kind of fluid, and so I believe the crystals used as some type of storage device, and as the template of the DNA of they can go back through time and tune into a particular point in time and then resonate. And because, as Jenhan said, the universe tends toward perfection. In other words, if you put a more perfect pattern over a pattern that's less perfect, like one that's diseased or whatever, it will morph into the more perfect pattern, because it's a natural structure of the universe to move toward perfection. I mean, we're a long ways from perfection, but the universe has a tendency to move in that direction.
I love
That
that.
would make, yeah, that would make sense.
So that would be like medbed theory. Our holographic self when we were younger and healthier, right, overlaid on a diseased or damaged.
Right. Alex
Yeah.
Collier, the Andromedans, shared with them how it works. Basically, they called it a camera where it takes a holographic picture of you, which stores not only in the moment, but going all the way back to the moment of your conception. So they can pull out different slides in time. And this is how the 20 and back works, where they pull out when you were 17 years old and then wipe your memory.
Yes,
You have all these
yes.
people, coming back with memories of these incredible technologies and all corroborating with each other. This is a type of technology that they use, which is hard for the average person on this planet, because we're living in this kind of Truman Show reality of what our current technological capabilities are. But they have stuff that looks like far beyond anything we see in science fiction.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. So Nancy, when you were talking about the tumor, Nancy said, "I wonder where those tumors go. Does some tech in another reality have goop on his face?" So that's funny. But I really want to speak to this because I'm looking at this device right now as an adjunct to my healing practice, and it's got crystals in it, and it's got a certain frequency, and it's got a blue light and a little bit of heat. And the way that they described when the cells are not healthy enough to replicate themselves, it's like when the opera singers used to hit that high note and a crystal glass would shatter. It's
Mm-hmm.
kind of the same principle. The cell would just, deconstruct
Yeah,
or
well, it's kind of like
liquefy.
Rife frequencies.
Yes, it is. And then
Okay.
the immune system, can come carry it away.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she was being funny, but I love that question. So yeah.
Well, when you consider, you ask, where somebody has in another dimension has that tumor on their nose or something,
Yeah.
what when you understand that the universe is built on this building blocks, can I share a screen?
Please, please,
Yeah.
Okay.
always.
Okay.
Yeah, that frequency you were talking about, Nori, that is the mortal oscillatory rate, and every virus or bacteria have one of those rates. When you find the rate subjected to that electromagnetic radiation, then it explodes. Cancer
Wow.
cells, they just die off and go away.
Okay.
Oh, there you go.
Okay, you seeing this? All right. There's
Wow.
the building blocks of the universe. They go into infinity. The matrix. They all fit within this tetrahedral geometry structure. This is like a 64 tetrahedron grid, which, if you put it in 2D, shows the flower of life, which is the basis of the structure. ETs are showing this Jenhan says the tetrahedral geometry is one of the main frequency keys used to build worlds and life forms. Tetrahedral fractal geometry is the secret of the universe. And, you know, our planet, you know, our sacred sites, the pyramid in Hawaii and different places all have at these 19.47, which is this star tetrahedral, which is in all the spherical bodies, the sun, Mars, Venus, Earth, Jupiter, Neptune. And also we have the dodecahedral and isosahedral geometries, you know, like Easter Island and the Devil's Sea and Bermuda Triangle. You have all these different energy points where these nodes come together. They shift from one frequency geometry into the next. Even the planetary orbits of Venus, Earth, Mars, Saturn, Jupiter all have this Platonic geometry that is all interwoven to make the structure of the universe. And they've discovered that from the smallest proton to the universe, there is a scale that it operates that is fractal, that from the smallest atom to the whole galaxy is this proportional scale that's fractal. Let's see,
So
geometric.
the tetrahedron star that looked very much like a Merkaba.
Yeah, it's a Merkaba.
Yeah.
Merkaba or star tetrahedron, same thing.
Yes.
Even the periodic table of elements is based on a tetrahedral structure, and even the platonic solids are in the nucleus of the atom. So you have this, you know, throughout the structure throughout the universe that is the building blocks. It's kind of like Lego, only they're made of these tetrahedrons that go into infinity. And there's this mathematics of the golden mean ratio, which is the ratio that goes into infinity in perfect proportion.
Yes.
That is deeply connected to this, which the quartz crystals, when you look at the angles of a crystal, they are, and I'll show this here real quick.
I have two questions for after.
Yeah, the golden mean ratio, you know, it's like this is 52-degree angle, which is exactly 51.843 to be exact, but 52 degrees is the rough. You can see the golden mean ratio is here. The Great Pyramid has this 52-degree angle. All quartz crystals have this 52-degree angle. It's this geometry that goes into infinity. The Vesica Piscis, 52-degree angle. The hyperbolic cone, which represents the curvature of space-time, yields a golden mean ratio. If you cut it, if you slice it at the 51.84-degree angle, Victor Schauberger came up with that. And that's what Marcel did, was he cut one end to be the 52-degree angle and the other is a 60-degree. And
beautiful.
And so there's this golden mean ratio and this 52-degree angle that is representative of that acts as a transponder in the matrix. So that's why, you know, pyramid power works.
Yes. I mean, and all of us who had those dowel made pyramids over our bed back in the day, they do work.
Back in the day, right.
And back in the day,
Patrick Flanagan,
I had a crystal pyramid that was made, and it was open, and I was a hairdresser then. I would put my hairdressing shears underneath it, and I never had to sharpen them. It was amazing. It was crazy. So there's a question here. I don't know if it's too geologic, but let's see. We're carbon based, crystals are silicon based. Can you explain this 5D carbon to crystalline upgrade transformation that humans are supposed to experience? Is that the
Oh
light bulb?
boy,
No.
this one's for you,
Okay.
Dan.
Oh,
That's a
sure.
big one.
Yes, we can do that one. Yeah. Um, well, the crystals are, representative of the basic fundamental structure of the matrix, and they're already in 5D. They're in 60, 70, 90, on going on up. They're in all the dimensions at once. So the crystal's already there. uh Us, as our frequency increases, the frequency density, and we do that. I had an experience when 1977 with this being that basically said how we shift our frequency. This ET being projected a sphere, and as I observed on the sphere, went into all these different geometries, and then into infinity, and then it turned back into a total sphere again. And what the being was conveying was that each of us, we are oscillating at a particular density, that we're at, and that through love, we uh we transcend to the next frequency density of our being, and all of us are connected together as one in this matrix. And so and when you're at a particular frequency density, you can become aware of the sub frequencies, you know like say 5D people can see the 3D people, but the 3D people can't see the 5D people.
Right.
And this was in 1977. Interestingly enough, I had this Kundalini experience with this being, and interestingly, Marcel, I found out just this year that he was on a sacred mountain in India in 1977, of all years, had the Kundalini opening experience as well. So I don't know what the connection between that is, but what I find out is decades later, when I'm learning more from scientists that's thousands of years and more advanced in the sciences from the planet era, that's exactly how it works. And the higher you go in density, the closer you're connected with the holographic frequency of love.
Yes. Amazing. That was great. That was so good. So one more question, and there's a comment from Andromedan. It's okay if you don't believe that there's a person called Chen Han. It's okay. We do.
I mean, what I do is, just to qualify, what I do is I research a lot, and
You
I look
do.
for corroborating evidence. And so I know there's a lot of noise out there. There's a lot of different people who are coming up with their interpretation of what's going on in the solar system and everything. And what I do is I look for corroborating evidence. And and along with Dr. Michael Sell, he's doing great research as well. Things like Elena Danan, who provides the contact through she has an implant that's a secure military communication device to the Galactic Federation of Worlds through her contact Thorhan. There's like over a dozen different corroborating elements that I found, such as in the year 2020, she wrote in 110 different species of aliens that are in extraterrestrials. I use the word alien, that are, and their planets and everything. She talked about Proxima Centauri, where there was 3 planets where they live. They didn't discover that until just this year. NASA discovers there's actually 3 planets. Exactly. How would you know that? And then
Right.
Thorhan comes up with, oh, look for something on Neptune, rather, that there's going to be something unusual happen. A week later, all the scientific publications are saying, oh, there's this unusual abnormality on Neptune that's happening. It's all turning red in this area because it's heating up. I mean,
Mm.
if you're making up stuff, if you're making up a story, you don't have corroborating evidence that, and I could cite about, a dozen different ones. You don't have where you give some information and then have it, nobody has a way of corroborating that. And then you find out like several days later that that's totally true. And that person had no way of knowing that. It kind of gives credibility. So
Yep.
that's
Absolutely.
what I go with. I go with researching deeply the person and keeping track of what they say, what matches up with what, and that's the only way I found to be able to sort out this information from
Yeah.
valid information.
I
Yeah,
love
that
your process, and I love your generosity of spirit to share that with us tonight. That was great.
Yeah.
yeah, when you get
Also, all
corroboration
the
like that, there
Also,
go
I
ahead.
wanted to mention that all the work that I did with Marcel Vogel in the laboratory, they set up with electron microscopes, spectrophotometers, and was able to quantify with all this technology with the crystals and the consciousness. All of it matched perfectly with what Jen Hanny Redron shared. And what are the odds of that,
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly. So this,
that's as close to evidence as you can get.
yeah. So there's one more question. Courtney said, Dan, can you please explain more about the holographic overlay you speak of on the med beds or when using your crystals to heal someone?
Well, those are 2 different things. The medbed technology is extremely advanced.
Yes.
Um, the medbed technology is able to get a perfect read on your DNA, and as Alex Collier said, it goes all the way back to the conception, and then they overlay that. And since the universe tends to perfection, it will morph into that, and you become that. With the crystal technology, we're using our consciousness to activate this. And what's interesting is that in the 80s, I worked with Dr. Robert Beck, who was a pioneer in brain waves connected with the Schumann resonance. In other words, the resonance between the Earth ionosphere cavity, and found that he measured shamans in different disciplines completely all over the planet, that when they were in their working state of consciousness, the left and right hemispheres, which act as 2 different people, they both synchronized together and
Mm,
became strengthened in amplitude, and the frequency that they operated on was that of the earth. In fact,
mm,
they plotted the earth and they call it the earth brainwave because it matched
mm,
exactly like the brainwave. And I got confirmation from Jenhan that yes, it's intimately connected together. And back in June, Elena and I had about 1,700 people, just like you guys do with the mastermind, all visualizing a positive timeline on the planet and using the crystals. And at the same time, all we pulsed our breath and squeezed the crystal. The crystal has a piezoelectric quality to it, and we saw that timeline and pulsed it. And at that time, what happened was, and I'll share that with you. At
Yeah,
that
that
time, this is Dr. Robert Beck. Here is on that exact moment, we created a pulse on the Schumann resonance.
Wow.
Wow.
And the reason that is that when you go into a higher state of consciousness, I should have kept that screen up to show that there's different brainwave patterns. When your deep sleep is delta, theta is kind of as you're kind of waking up in dream state, your alpha is your meditative, beta is your concentrating, and gamma is as Jenhan says, it opens up trying to find the exact quote. What it does is opens up vortices in the mind where anything becomes possible. When you get up into the gamma frequencies, was around 40 hertz or so. So when you're to do the work with the crystals, or even with the mastermind group, if people are into gamma frequency, when they're visualizing and imprinting into the planetary matrix, it has a greater effect. In fact, we're setting up a special special crystal device that you can see here, that has two silver electrodes that are on both sides of this crystal, that these pure silver electrodes are oscillating. We have it hooked up to a signal generator. It's pulsing it with a very sharp pulse to between the I'll show another aspect of this, how this works.
I'm just going to jump in for a nanosecond while you're looking. Margaret, thank you so much for the super chat. And if others super chatted us, supported the show, and I don't see it yet, thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Okay.
I'll just show you really quick on the screen how what Marcel didn't know is that when he got a dream to see this crystal and these angles, when the two vortices come together, it creates this convergence, which creates this vortex center of a singularity that creates a Merkaba, you could say, of these two vortices that are happening in opposite directions. And so that when you put physical pressure or you put an electrical pulse, it causes the has to be cut exactly. It opens up this here's a signal generator going to it. It opens up this vortex that is a direct connection to the planetary matrix, and you can actually rewrite and imprint into the holographic matrix to change it. And so it's very powerful. In fact, he had to get special permission because it violated the prime directive on the list of things, and they had to get special permission to share this with me, because you can do anything. Yeah. Anyway, the ability to rewrite the planetary matrix has been given a gift to us on how to do that. But anyway, I didn't mean to go off, and there's so many details in all this.
So interesting.
I got a question on that one though, because you said that, in gamma, that's about, I think it's about 30 hertz or so in the brainwave pattern.
Correct.
So when we are operating in that frequency range of the mind, and preferably synchronized to two hemispheres, we have a lot more outgoing power than what we have. How do you suggest that we increase our brain frequency to get to that level? That is the first question, and then the second one, I want your input on something that we did in the mastermind when we created rain out of absolutely almost clear skies in a matter of an hour.
Oh, I only know 4 methods. The first is meditation to get into gamma brain. The second is there's binaural audio, where it has 2 frequencies that heterodyne together that create a 40 hertz in the mind, that the mind has a tendency to entrain with. So with the audio, and you can find that on YouTube, binaural 40 hertz gamma frequency. That's the second way. The third way is with they have I think it's on Amazon. They have these 40 hertz bulbs it's like flickering at 40 hertz, and through visual stimuli. You don't look at it directly, but you look at it through the corner of your eye, your peripheral vision, and it helps entrain the brain into 40 hertz. It's the more annoying one,
That doesn't sound like it would be good for people who have seizures.
You're right.
Sorry.
And the fourth one is the one that I have a lot of experience with, and I've built devices and I've experienced it, and I use you can see here, see this magnetic coil. I have it hooked up into the other channel of the signal generator, feeding a sinusoidal 40 hertz wave. And what that's doing is it's causing a magnetic fluctuation, because the brain will entrain within 4 seconds. It has these liquid crystals in the brain that's sensitive down to 1/100th of a nanotesla. And so you can have this weak magnetic field that the brain will have a tendency to entrain to. And the CIA knows about this well, and the Russians too. And I did some experiments when I was working with the Naval Electronic Engineering Center, and accidentally, anyway, that's another story.
That sounds like it would be a good story.
Yeah. So that may have been what we did then, when we all of us got together, because there were forest fires in Northern California, and there was a lady that was afraid about her house burning. And we wrapped our mastermind around her and her house and Northern California. And there were a few clouds in the sky, but when we were done, about an hour later, she called and she said, "It's raining."
Oh,
So
yeah. The work you guys are doing is pioneering. It's so great what you're doing. And you might you just try for an experiment. Everybody has a crystal. If they have a vocal crystal, it really works well. But just a natural quartz crystal, it can be just a little one like this one. Get it to the point where you're fully visualized. You got it really in, and imagine in as much clarity as you can possibly form, in every way possible, in 3D, as though you're actually there, and accept it as it all, like, it's already there. It's already happened. You get that reality clear in your consciousness. Take the crystal, and with your breath, take a deep breath in, and like you're blowing your nose, but at the same time, squeeze the crystal and pulse it into the reality like that, and have everybody sync and do it at the same time, and watch what happens.
Wow.
Have somebody watch the Schumann resonance, because when you're in gamma and you do that, you affect the planetary matrix. You affect the Schumann resonance of the Earth brainwave, because the Earth brainwave affects the minds, and the minds have a reciprocal relationship that affect the Earth brainwave.
Excuse me, that is such a fabulous explanation.
And the crystal acts as a bridge into the matrix of the core of the structure of the matrix, that makes it even more powerful into manifesting, because you're manifesting on a higher dimensional level through, I mean, this is just stuff that we do naturally without a crystal. You don't need a crystal, you know, but
Right.
the crystal augments these powers that we have within us to affect reality even greater.
Wow. And Santa Claus, I would like a Vogel crystal for Christmas, please. Just putting my Christmas wish list out there.
I recommend, you know, they're so expensive. They're
They
really,
are expensive,
really
but they look
expensive.
worth it.
Hundreds of dollars. What I recommend is there's one, it's a six-sided. I recommend the six-sided from the knowledge I've been learning from Junhan is for about 145 bucks. You know, I have no financial interest in this whatsoever.
Right, of
But
course.
if you go to marcelvogel.org, there is a link there at the bottom, and there's a six-sided 4¼ inch Vogel inspired type crystal that is very clear, made out of beautiful Brazilian clear quartz. And for $145, that's a good entry point to get in versus paying $500, $600, $700 for a you know, a Vogel cut crystal with but the six-sided crystal, I assure you, is very effective.
Wonderful. That's wonderful. We only have about 4 minutes left. I mean, this hour just went by so quickly.
I got something I gotta say, and I just.
Oh, you want to see that being from another dimension, don't you?
No, one first. This is so fascinating, Nori. We gotta do something on the mastermind with this. Dan,
Yes.
would you come and
Yes.
try to facilitate that? What if
I would
we did
be
that?
honored to. Yes.
What if we did that
Wonderful.
this coming Monday, Nori? What if we did that and invite everybody that is listening to come and join us?
Right. Well, let's coordinate schedule with Dan because, you know,
Yeah.
short notice, but
Yeah.
yeah, when Dan's available, I so want to do that.
Not
Sounds
everybody has a Vogel crystal, but if they do, by all means bring it. But if it's just a natural crystal that's not like you know, it doesn't have to be huge, just a nice little normal faceted,
Yeah.
you know, in nature facets the crystal.
Yes.
Bring the crystal, and then we will do that. I would be honored to do that.
Awesome. Wow,
Or we
I'm
could
excited.
also do it in the membership group afterwards. So we'll figure
Yeah.
this out.
Yep, we will. That's awesome. Good
Yeah.
stuff. Dan, thank you so much. Do you want to ask your famous question of Dan before we go?
Oh yeah, I know. Dan already knows this question, I think, and that was, if you could talk to the whole world and the world was listening, what would you tell them?
What if the whole world was listening?
Yeah, what would you tell them?
You know, love each other. Visualize, know your creative power, and realize that we can make the world into this beautiful paradise on earth as it's meant to be. And we have these powers within us that have been, you know, they took it out of all the universities back in 1957, our powers of human consciousness to affect reality. So, but research, you know, you have to research. You can't just take anybody's word for anything. Don't take anything I say. marcelvogel.org is my site I did in honor of Marcel's memory that has all the lab notes, and you can research that, and hopefully it will inspire deeper research.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody that was in the chat room tonight. Great conversation, as always. Thank you, Mac. Thank you, Augie. You want to take us out?
Yes, this has been so wonderful, and I'm looking forward to the session you're going to come and join us with on the mastermind. That's going to be good, and we need to figure something that we can facilitate and concentrate on in that session. That's going to be major.
I've got just the thing. So let everybody know ahead of time to, you know, gather their crystal for that session, and we'll do it. We'll spike
So
the Schumann resonance.
if we have just an average quartz crystal, bring that one.
What kind of crystal?
Just to not a Vogel, right?
Oh yeah, but it needs to be quartz. It needs to
Quartz,
be
absolutely.
you know, not different colored crystals, just the
Yes.
clear quartz works the best. It's the most
Perfect.
universal.
Perfect. Yay.
All right.
Thanks, Dan.
Thank you very much for being with us.
Pleasure, and
Thanks,
we'll
everybody.
do it.
Until next time, be good to each other.